Hi guys, welcome back to the channel Everyday Caring for Everyday People. I hope everybody's doing well out there, keeping safe, doing what you need to do to protect you and your family, and you just keeping a level head about things. So getting back to the issue of COVID-19 in South Africa. First and foremost, I need to give you guys some a piece of information with regards to that. There, please head over to the channel Peak Prosperity. The guys on there have been pretty good at predicting um, the way this was going to unfold globally since roughly the 24th of January. They use the data that's available to them. They also do a lot of research from different institutes all over the world. The impact of COVID-19 is first and foremost right now a health issue, particularly in the rest of the world. The next thing that happens is the hit on the economy. So these guys at Peak Prosperity have been pretty good at using data to map out the way things were going to unfold. Right, with that being said, I've got to say, give credit where credit is due, and the South African government does deserve a lot of credit in the way that they've been handling the spread of COVID-19 in South Africa. As I've said before, and this is from the information that was provided to me by guys like the guys at Peak Prosperity, the way that the spread starts is you have a case, then another case, then another case, then a cluster, then another cluster, then an explosion. So in South Africa's case right now, we are experiencing the first round of clusters. So things that you can and should be doing to protect yourself, your family, and most importantly your community during this period of time. Number one, guys, please don't panic buy. It's not going to solve anything. You don't need 12 years supply of toilet paper. It's just not something that you need. If you are able to get hold of surgical masks, surgical gloves, please do not hoard. If there are 100 boxes on the shelves, don't take all 100 boxes. You don't need it. The lifespan of a surgical mask is 8 hours, depending on how active you are and how much moisture passes through the surgical mask. Surgical gloves, contrary to popular belief, this virus can stay on surfaces for anywhere between 3 and 5 days. So yes, if you have to go out to get necessities, please make sure that you use surgical gloves if you have it. If you don't, hand sanitizer works just as well. More importantly, make sure you wash your hands with soap. If you don't have hand sanitizer, it's not the end of the world. That's more of a convenience thing than anything else. Sunlight soap, Lifebuoy, anything that's non-scented is actually very, very good in disinfecting your hands. If you are able to get surgical gloves and masks, wear them when you're out in public. If you don't, try and avoid going to public places. Yes, surgical masks help those that are infected from not spreading the disease, but yes, they also prevent those who are not infected from getting infections. Um, Once again, I got to be open and honest. The South African government has done exceptionally well handling this crisis here. I mean, if nothing else, they've been completely open, honest, and transparent uh, with regards to infection rates, cases. They've done as much as they can in terms of quarantine facilities, testing facilities, um, you know, uh, general information to the public. So, moving on to what we can do and what we should be doing. Number one, if we don't need to be out in crowded public areas, gatherings, refrain from refrain from it. Uh, it's prevention is better than cure type of thing. Um, so that's number one. Make sure that you do basic things. Wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds at a time. Uh, Contrary to popular belief, the best way to do it is to wash your hands, apply the soap to your hands, wash your hands for 20 to 40 seconds, then open the tap and rinse the soap off your hands. Um, Basic detergents like bleach, domestos, these are all good things to have um, just to keep surfaces clean and disinfected. Uh, do not panic. Uh, Getting into a panic or state of frenzy is not going to help. In fact, more than anything else, it's going to put you and those around you at greater risk. If you feel that you are showing serious signs of the infection, is a toll-free number that you can get a hold of. Apparently, the government is working on sending medical staff out so that you don't have to go out and possibly infect however many people on the way there. So that's a good thing. Um, as I said before, don't panic buy, but please try and be smart about it. Do your grocery shopping if you can for the week. Yes, I know in South Africa people live from paycheck to paycheck. Some don't even have that luxury. But if it's at all possible, at least buy what you need for 2 to 4 days and keep it at home. Within your communities, things that you can do, things that you probably should do. Number one, communities need to actually start pulling together. I'm not saying have gatherings and all the rest of it. Unemployment is high within our country. We know this here. Kids are going on school holiday from tomorrow. We have people within our communities that are unemployed. I do understand that those of us that are working have to go out and go to work because we got to put food and stuff on the table. One thing that I would suggest doing is within those communities, for those who are unemployed, instead of leaving our kids to the mercy of the streets or on their own to fend for themselves, those within the community who are unemployed, help out if you can by looking after kids that are on school holiday. Obviously, I'm not saying one person for like 50 kids. If you're able to assist with 2 to 3 kids at the most. We do have high levels of unemployment, guys. We need to be realistic about it. This is a time where, by all of us pulling together and working within our communities, we have a real shot at mitigating the damage that this virus can and does cause. So that's my humble appeal with regards to that there. I'm not being, as I said, this channel is not paid for or sponsored by any governmental organization or any private company. So giving credit where credit is due is not something that I'm paid for. Pick and Pay is doing a really, really good job with regards to senior citizens. From what I'm told, they designate an hour every day for senior citizens from 65 and above to go out and, do the shopping that they need. With regards to that, it's something that's appreciated. It helps mitigate the spread of it. It offers some sort of protection to our senior citizens as well. So yeah, that's something to look at. If you head over to Peak Prosperity, you'll see how they've tracked this year from the 24th of January. This, contrary to popular belief, this virus doesn't just target the old. Yes, our senior citizens globally have been hit the hardest, and that's simply because their immune systems are so fragile. But having looked at and done some research on, reporting from the UK, from Germany, from Italy, from a few other places, they now have patients coming in between the ages of 30 and 50. So yeah, with any virus, with any disease, with any infection, it does hit the elderly hardest first. Please don't buy into the BS that it doesn't really affect children. It affects everybody. Walk in with that type of mentality where it can and does infect the young, the old, it has the potential to infect everyone. So bear that in mind. Just trying to think straight off the top of my head. Just give me a second. I'm just looking at some of my notes with regards to that there. Coronavirus, COVID-19 is in South Africa, guys, and we need to face it. Probably stricter measures are going to be implemented, and that's a good thing. Shutting down our airports and points of entry is vital. I'm not here to be PC about anything. I'm here to ensure that the spread of this virus is contained and that the effects on countries are mitigated. I am a South African citizen, so therefore I do feel for my own country first. Closing ports of entry, wise move. The sooner it can be done, the better. Honestly speaking, and this is not a dig at anybody, but to be quite honest, the vast majority of cases in South Africa have been imported from other parts of the world, mostly by our own South African citizens who, for whatever reason, needed to travel abroad. So that's not something that they should be stigmatized or chastised for. So yeah, closing ports of entries, closing airports, extremely vital. Guys, when you are out and you have to do your shopping for your basic necessities, I'm begging you. They have sanitary wipes and stuff at most Pick and Pays and food lovers markets and whatever the case is. Please just use to wipe down the handles of the trolley or the basket. Please do not try and stockpile it. The minute those wipes are taken out of whatever container they sealed in, they only have a lifespan of about a minute before they become useless. So trying to clear it all out and take it back home is useless. The effectiveness of those wipes have already been destroyed. As I said, Stockpiling, panic buying, not a good idea. Um, if you are out and you do need to purchase something, uh, try to avoid using cash or you know pressing keypads. Some banks I know have tap system with regards to their cards. If you have it, use it. If you don't and you need to use uh, physical money, whether it's coins or notes, make sure that you are using surgical gloves. Disinfect your money the best way you can. I found that things like spraying it down, and I'm not talking about drowning it in or thoroughly washing it, but just spraying it down with things like Mr. Muscle um, is a good way. It does alleviate some of the virus that might be on it. Um, Another good idea: if you don't have to be out, don't go out. It's just that simple. Uh, and more than that, there, yes, pray. I do realize that Fridays are days of congregating for Muslims in mosques, Saturdays for Jewish people in shuls, Sundays for Christians in churches. We've got Easter coming up. Guys, God is all forgiving, is all understanding. He is not a totalitarian God. He understands that sometimes it's just not possible to congregate for prayer. I'm not advocating don't pray. Pray in your home. Pray with your family. But if you can avoid going out in public for any and every reason, congregating in public, do it. You're protecting yourself. You're protecting others. Um, Bottom line is, and I can say this with conviction because I believe that God is an all merciful God. If He wasn't, He wouldn't be God. So these are things to bear in mind. With regards to Pretoria, Tshwane, I'm glad to see that a lot of mosques have temporarily closed their facilities. This is not being, uh, you know, uh, this is not moving away from God. It's just being responsible. We need to tie our camels, so that's something to bear in mind. Um, Other than that, just be safe. Be careful about what you read, what you listen to. Don't take everything at face value. Do your own research on it. Stay safe, and I'll provide another update within the next 24 hours. Bye.